talk to Dr. Cornel West about it. Thank you for being here, sir. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's a blessing for me to be here.
What's your reaction?
Well, I think it's about time to remove the flag. I'm not going to give a moral prize to anybody who removes a flag that signifies legalized terrorism and legalized torture and exploitation of labor for decade after decade after decade after decade. It's a long time for the flag to go. You know, in Europe, they can't use the Nazi flag. Instead, they use a Confederate flag. Can you imagine a debate about a Nazi flag in the United States? It just shows just how little weight black life and black love and black laughter still has in America, even given the removal of the flag.
Well, no, sir, I can't imagine having a debate over the Nazi flag, and that makes me ask you, why is it taken so long?
Because the vicious legacy of white supremacy is still shot so deep in the culture, and so many of our politicians, Republicans, but also Democrats, they run away from taking that legacy as seriously as they ought to hit the issue of racism head on. I mean, our dear brother president, thank God he's now weighing in. How long has it taken him to talk honestly about how deep racism cuts? He said the other day it's not endemic. Of course it's endemic. It's an issue that they don't want to come to terms with, and they only do when they have to out of political calculation rather than deep moral conviction. That's what's sad.
It's interesting you bring up the Democrats as well, and you know there's been a lot of talk about sort of how a lot of these GOP members of the party running for president are responding. What do you want to see from some of these Democrats who are running?
Well, just be able to tell the truth and say, look, you can't talk about wealth inequality, you can't talk about decrepit education, you can't talk about massive unemployment and underemployment, and you can't talk about drones being dropped on people in other parts of the world without talking about white supremacy and its ways in which it operates. It doesn't have to be overt. The president's right about that, but too many black people are niggerized. I would say the first black president has become the first niggerized black president. Why?
What do you mean by that?
A niggerized black person is a black person who is afraid and scared and intimidated when it comes to putting a spotlight on white supremacy and fighting against white supremacy. So when many of us were saying we got to fight against racism, what were we told? No, he can't deal with racism because he's got other issues. He got political calculation. He's the president of all America, not just black America. We know he's president of all America, but white supremacy is as American as cherry pie. We're talking about moral issues, spiritual issues. White supremacy has nothing to do with just skin pigmentation. It has to do with what kind of person you want to be, what kind of nation we want to be. Democrats and Republicans plague on both of those parties in terms of running away from the vicious legacy of white supremacy until it hits us hard. Thank God for Ferguson. Thank God for the young folk of all colors. Thank God for Staten Island fighting there. Thank God in Baltimore. Now with the precious folk in Charleston. But keep in mind this, and I want to end on this too, that when we talk about forgiveness, you notice how quick the white press wants to accent black people forgiving. Forgiveness is not an utterance, it's a process. We are loving people. We've taught the world so much about love because we've been hated so, but to forgive a day or so after, something wrong with that. That's a twisted sympathy and a pathological empathy. You forgive as you have worked it through. You just make sure you don't hate. That's the key. Don't hate. Forgiveness comes later. But the press wants to accent forgiveness. We're a fighting people as well as a forgiving people.
Dr. Cornel West, there's a lot to unpack there, sir. I do want to have you back on. I have some breaking news I have to get to, but I appreciate you joining me this afternoon.
God bless you. Stay strong.
We'll be right back.